Check 1, 2. Lindsay, welcome back to you and to me to the show. I'm green. You're yellow. Give me a level there.
Hi, Tim.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Just fine. I feel great.
You are looking really good.
Listen, if you're just tuning in and you're only on the audio, do yourself a favor. Head on over to YouTube for the Shoot the Shot podcast and check us out. I got a new hairdo.
Tim got his hair cut and he rolled in here looking so phenomenal.
Thank you.
I had to do a full beat. I had to go get my makeup bag out and be like, well, I guess
Step our game up,
I still don't even come close. You look so handsome today, Timmy boy.
Thank you.
Also Tim made me a coffee in my favorite mug.
Yes.
It says I'm kinda a big dill and the handle is a giant dill pickle, which is exceptional.
That's the whole joke.
It's very hot coffee.
It's very hot. Wait a minute. Welcome to the show. If you're new here, we are the Shoot Your Shot podcast. My name is Tim. I'm a professional photographer.
You're a professional photographer. And my name is Lindsay, and I'm also a professional photographer.
And we're here to answer your questions, whether they be business related, photography related, portrait related, anything to do with the imaging world, I guess. We start every episode off by rolling the magic 8-ball. Can you reach? I can't.
We goofed this last time because
fucked it up.
Well, Tim and I were really on a tear last week. We had places to be. Our lighting was all wrong.
The set was a mess.
We weren't living, laughing, or loving last week. But this week, we're back on track, baby.
We're back, baby.
Okay. What do you want to ask the 8-ball today?
Well, we are traveling to Florence by way of Rome in 72 hours. Ish.
Oh, wow. That's
soon,
scary
right?
when you say it like that. I've got like 500 shoots to do before then. So
I have a wedding between then and now. So I want to know what travel's going to be like. Is travel going to be an easy breezy, beautiful cover girl moment for us?
Oh my God, I hope it is.
I really hope it is.
Yes.
Oh.
Just yes.
Just straight up yes.
Just yes. And actually, it showed up much nicer than it did last time. It's starting to go away. But usually I have to like finagle this thing a little bit.
Yeah.
But 8-ball says, yes, we're going to have a really nice travel experience, which
that's so exciting.
I'm not going to lie. I always have easy travel. I really do. I feel like when you manifest a good travel experience, it just comes your way.
Yeah.
You also just like will ensure that you have a good travel experience because you prepare yourself as much as possible and then just know shit could go wrong, and I'm fine with that also. And
it's fine. Either way, it's going to be fine. As long as you have a passport and a credit card, you can get anywhere in this planet, pretty much.
Which, like, you did forget your passport on a plane one time, so that was a pretty rough travel experience.
In Orlando, and that's just because Orlando is a vortex of weird sadness.
Yeah, the only weirder airport than the Orlando airport is the Denver airport, and that's because of the Illuminati and the lizard people.
True.
So you should look that one up.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. How was your week?
It was great.
Yeah?
No complaints. I don't remember it because it was still in the wake of last week.
That's the truth. Yeah.
It was. We had a great shoot with the Macs.
Yes, we did.
Mac Wedding and Planning.
Tim and I did an exceptional branding session.
Yes.
I'm super excited for it. If you're a Vanderpump Rules fan, you're going to want to see this video that Tim has come up with Michelle and the team. They are planners and Jeff's an officiant, and they did like a shot-for-shot remake of the Vanderpump Rules intro.
Yeah, and I've never seen an episode of my life, but...
And I've seen every single one.
I've seen every intro now to that show, and I think we nailed it.
You absolutely nailed it. Like, I think Bravo's going to be calling any day.
Gosh, I hope so. So if you don't know, we answer questions from the general photography public, our community of... we don't have a name for our community yet, but we should come up with one.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll come up with it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're only episode 10 in, so let's...
The shoot your shotters.
The shoot your shotters.
Great. We'll workshop it.
You and Taylor hosted a photography conference 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago now?
Man, it was literally last week, but it was so exhausting that it felt like it was a year ago.
Yeah.
But it was quite literally like today's Thursday.
Yeah.
And it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of last week.
Good grief.
Just to give you a reference of how tired you are.
Still don't understand. But we set up a confessional booth where people could go into theater number 2 and they could ask their questions to us remotely. And then we play them on the pod. Let's go into question number 1, today's episode.
Hi, long-time listener, first-time follower. My name's Tyler at Fat Cheese on Instagram. What's your tip or maybe one line that you could give to get a shy, more introverted
The Cheese Man.
The Cheese Man. Tyler Cheeseman is a friend of the show, friend of ours. He edits and shoots alongside Taylor Jackson every now and then. He's a great guy.
Yeah, Tyler's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He edited my entire course.
That's right.
Tyler is actually like what we usually are for our clients, where we've seen our clients so much and like they record or, you know, they're part of a shoot one time and then we're intimately involved with their voice and their face for hours and hours and hours. That's Tyler and my relationship. He's just had to sit through me being like, oh, this is painful. Oh, I'm so sorry, Tyler. This is painful. I'm going to redo that whole video. So anyways, Tyler's a fantastic video editor, but he's too busy. Don't poach him. Tyler, that's a really phenomenal question. Tim, I would love to hear from you because I think you have a really lovely and natural, organic approach with your clients. But
I appreciate that.
How do you get a good natural ha 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 out of your clients? A good little giggle.
Well, first of all, I'll start by stating the obvious with when I'm shooting with a couple that this is a weird thing we're doing. We're doing a photo session.
Yeah.
This is strange. I get it. I'm also not incredibly comfortable in front of the camera. So
you're like, I'm also terrified.
I'm also terrified. But no, it's my job, I believe, as a photographer to lead the couple into a zone of comfort to make sure that they're feeling like themselves and not feeling like this is a styled shoot where they need to be on in some way.
No.
Or
modeling.
I always reiterate that, like, if you're looking at each other and you're happy and you're smiling, we can get some great photos from these moments. I start really simply, which is how I learned from the Taylor Jackson school of photographing people, is like, we'll start with you guys holding hands, walking away from me, looking at each other, being as happy as you want to be. And then we just build off of that. So movement's really important. It gets people in their bodies as opposed to in their heads. I find that if they're kind of like interacting with each other and less focusing on me, we get better photos, and they don't particularly remember that we're doing this kind of strange
photo shoot.
Yeah. But I typically, with every package I do for couples, for weddings, I include engagement session, which I tell them off the hop, like, this is a great excuse for us to get together, get to know each other a bit more, because I'm a glorified member of your wedding party. And also create some nice images and get you, warmed up to the idea of having your photo taken, because it's not something that people often do and have great experience with. And that's how I use it. I use it as like a warm-up tool that if we get some great images out of, which we always do, it's a bonus. So it's really just to hang out, to kind of understand what you like about photography, what you like about yourself, what you don't like, maybe necessarily, how we can accent that, highlight that. So it's like a warm up to the wedding day. How do we get them to be comfortable? That's the question, though. Mm-hmm. It's different for every couple. I think every couple has a different level of comfort. I've worked with couples who are like super, like, within the first second, they understand, and they're like, they know their angle, they know where to position themselves, they understand like how to be
they're modeling
candid, and they're modeling a bit, and that's always a great place to start. Yeah, but it's not the norm. The norm is typically people who are shy, a bit more introverted, a bit more like, what do I do with my hands? And in that case, I'm like, put it on the person you're next to. Yeah. And I always want something I've been reiterating, not always, but I've taken from the Sam Hurd school, is like, if you hear me saying nothing, you're doing the right thing. And I'll tell couples that. Like, if I'm quiet, whatever you're doing is great. Yeah. If I need to direct you, I will jump in and direct you. Otherwise, hang out, be really happy, and we'll position as we need to. So it's kind of like a build your own, choose your own adventure kind of thing, for me at least. What about you? Does it work?
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of those things. I think, it's part of the entire experience. Mm-hmm. They have to come in trusting you. They have to come in believing like, this person is really good at their job and they're not going to make me look silly. And for me, it starts as soon as like I give them an outfit styling guide. I, encourage them to pick clothes that make them feel good about themselves, but are maybe like a little bit more elevated version of themselves. Like, in order to get someone to laugh on camera and an actual laugh, right? Like to feel good and real and normal, they have to be breathing. Yes. They have to be like taking real breaths and letting them out. If their ears are up here and they're like weird with each other, the really nice thing about a couple session is that they are anxiously laughing with each other, and that's a real laugh.
That like nervous energy
it's an
is
anxious
real.
Laugh, but it's real.
Yeah.
So that's good. I think that's totally fine. Like, if it's an anxious laugh, it will always turn into something else. Another thing that I often tell my clients, speaking specifically about an engagement session, is that this is the weirdest thing we could possibly do. This is not like a wedding day where, you know, the photo shoot is an addition to your wedding, right? Like I am photographing an event happening and then we're doing portraits throughout it.
Yes.
Whereas an engagement shoot is just a photo shoot.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I try to bleed a conversation into it. Honestly, I will get into like what you do for a living. Oh, you do data entry for tugboats? That's wildly
It's kind
fascinating.
of like getting
Tell
a
me about
Brazilian
that.
wax. You're just trying to distract them from what's happening.
I don't have experience, but I believe you. That sounds
You're just
excruciating.
like, yeah, no,
I don't know if
it's
it's just
fine.
like that.
Well, it's definitely less painful, I would hope, for the client. But I think getting a little bit of distraction.
Yeah.
You just try to keep people chatting, keep them
Yes.
comfortable. If you ever watch any of the behind the scenes videos of me that Taylor has shot, some of the feedback that people give is, wow, she couldn't be more different from you.
Oh.
She's literally nonstop talking. And first of all, it's why I have a podcast.
Yeah,
and
so we're here.
And second of all, it's also why Taylor and I are two very different photographers and we attract very different clientele.
Mm-hmm.
My clients would have a heart attack not getting the feedback, I think. I mean, I believe that because
it's part of the service that you provide. It's part of like what they've come to expect, why they purchased you.
I'm always hyping my clients up. I'm telling them, yes, you're doing that right. So while you and Sam are like, if you don't hear me speaking, it's because you're doing something great.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, you look incredible. Keep doing that. You know, like not so much that like I don't want to come off like a like an old dude Miami photographer, you know, like beautiful, gorgeous. Like I don't want to do that. But like with breathing room in between, I'm like, oh, this is gorgeous. I love this.
No, you hype at the right moment, because I've noticed couples, like when I'm doing video alongside you doing photos, you'll be like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. And they'll get a natural reaction and a laugh and like a moment of like, oh, Lindsay. And then you get the photo then.
Yeah.
And you give it breathing room, but you also keep your couples moving. You're not like statically, you're not like find the light, find the place. We're going to hang out here for 20 minutes. It's like, no, we find the light,
we
find
have
the place,
to keep
click,
going.
click, click. Let's move on. There's a great spot over here.
You can't give your clients time to get in their heads.
Exactly.
That's what I find.
Yeah.
So the more that I'm chatting with them, I'm joking with them. I've got like a couple. I wouldn't say in order to get people to laugh. Like there's no kind of joke that I'm making that makes me want to die inside. You know, absolutely not. I'm not going to be a little joker. It's just not my thing. Never going to be my thing.
I don't have type 5.
I don't have a little joke for you. I might tell you something funny that happened to me earlier in the day that will feel just like a totally normal thing we're just chatting about.
Yeah.
You know what's more interesting to me, I would say, sorry, Tyler, to just shit on your question here.
Sorry, Tyler.
What I think is the more interesting thing than asking people how to get a laugh out of someone, because the thing I tell people to do is, okay, now laugh at each other.
Yes.
And that's really, they're going to do that because they're like, ha, 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 and they're going to laugh. And the longer we're working together, I can easily get a laugh out of them. No big deal at all, right? Yep. Like, the harder thing I find is to get people to breathe and just be. And the way that I do that is basically exactly what I'm doing with my voice right now. I start getting a little bit quieter. I start just speaking a little bit slower. After I've gone from this like very excited and very like, oh my God, that was amazing. You look gorgeous. Ha 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 ha. I get into that like quieter moment, and it's when they're already posed in such a way that I think I can get them to turn inwards even more, where they're not going to be too in their heads about someone literally documenting their noses touching and like, you know, really, really intimately close together. That I think is the even more challenging move for people who aren't models. And I can witness that even just in the shoots that Taylor and I have done together. Sam has actually said, Lindsay, I need you to stop laughing, because I'm always just laughing because I'm so anxious and nervous during shoots.
Oh, when you're being photographed, you mean?
Yeah, when I'm being photographed, I'm like, oh, this is so weird. This is such a weird thing. And then, you know, sometimes your photographer actually has to say, okay, I want you guys to just like take a couple deep breaths and like, let's get more serious here, right? Like, because Sam's our friend, he was like, Lindsay, stop laughing, right?
Shut up, Lindsay.
But for me, if I was to say stop laughing, I think it would get them too much in their heads about like, oh, I was doing a wrong thing. So instead, I would just redirect them to like, okay, like here, I want your hand here and I want your hand here. And I would just love for you guys to just like have a little breath. You know,
take a beat.
If it's a pose that's okay with them talking, you could like have them talk to each other.
Yeah.
Tell them like, you know, I don't get too sappy about it. There's
Okay.
some photographers. I think Jerry, I always say his name wrong.
Gionis? Gionis.
I think it's Gionis.
I get it wrong every time.
Jerry does some like really, really insane good for him and for his clients. Like I'm not shitting on it at all. Like emotional tactics where he will like get people to think of like really intense things.
Okay.
That's how you're going to evoke like some tears or whatever. Right. And I mean, I've never tried it, so I actually don't know.
It could be amazing, but I think maybe couples who hire him expect that. You know what I mean?
They have seen some behind the scenes or whatever.
Yeah.
I would just love for people to like feel like, oh, that was so chill, that was so nice, and I never want my clients to feel like I made them uncomfortable
or manipulated.
For any reaction.
Exactly.
I never want them to feel like that was forced for me to laugh that hard or it was forced for me to be that emotional.
Right.
I want whatever comes up to come up.
There's like an emotional high and a low. You want to be somewhere not touching the 100% or 0% in that, right? You want to be like around the...
It really just comes down to reading your clients and reading their emotions. Sure. And I think you're very good at that. I feel like I'm good at because I was a yoga instructor.
Yeah.
So like I would have to sit at the front of the room for my yoga teacher training.
Tell me. Yeah.
In yoga teacher training, in order to
How long is that training?
pass,
is it weeks, months?
Well, there are different variations of it. You can do it in a 2-week thing, which you absolutely shouldn't do. That's so harmful to your students.
Okay.
Most of them are either an intensive 1 month where it's like a full-time intensive 1 month. And then you have to do 200 hours of teaching.
Like every day?
afterwards.
Like how?
Yeah, like every day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mine was 2 years because I was doing it while I was in university. So I did it over on the weekends.
Got it.
So I did it over the weekend at a college, and then you have to do 200 hours of training, and then you get your
4 days.
Yeah, so then you do your
Saturday, Sunday. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, it was Friday, Saturday, I think is like
okay.
what it was for like the actual in-person training, and then I went off and trained people. Like I would do classes or whatever as part of my certification. You had to do a number of hours.
So you're the front of the room. You're guiding
so
people.
In order to get your certification, you have to be able to lead a 1-hour class without moving. You have to sit on your mat and which also really is exceptional for teaching people, telling people how to pose.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have to grab somebody's husband's face. You know what I mean? Like I don't ever have to do that. I can explain it to them.
Yeah.
There's certainly days where like I'm tired. I'm on shoot number 5 that day, and I'm like, it's just going to be easier for me to show it to you, and I will just do that. Or people maybe they aren't in a place to be understanding or receiving the verbal cue, so I'll just show them.
Yeah.
But I do think that the yoga thing really taught me how to just sit back, observe, watch what's happening in front of me, and figure out how to get to where I have to go from. In yoga, it was from one, asana to the next, one pose to the next.
Okay.
Same deal with photography. How do I get them from holding hands side by side to now holding hands somewhere on the back of his head and one on his lapel?
Yeah.
How am I going to do that in a natural way?
Well, it's not just like
and I wish more photographers would really understand how great that flow could be if they treated it more like a yoga session, honestly.
Right.
Like probably if you're struggling with posing as a photographer, go to a yoga class.
Yeah.
Literally go and observe a yoga teacher, and a good one. There are some really bad ones out there. Like go to a great studio and witness the flow, how they get you from standing to seated, how they get you from, a warrior 2 into something else. There is a flow of it.
For sure.
The more that I do yoga, the more that I feel like I'm better at it.
And it's less about like, you're not necessarily chasing these photo poses directly. You're not like, okay, we're doing this pose now, and pull up an image on your phone. You're like, you know what you want in your head, and you have to try and articulate that in a way where it feels like it's a natural thing for the couple to go through and experience, and like it just feels natural to them, I assume.
Do you ever do that? Do you ever pull up a photo on your phone and show people?
I will if it's something I want to experiment with and something I've never done before. Like if
you
there's
don't
like
know
a really
how
cool,
to talk
like,
them through it.
Double exposure, I want them to position in a certain way. I'm like, we're going to try this, and it might suck, and it might be great, but we're going to try it. And if it sucks, you'll never see it. That's what I kind of tell them.
Yeah.
And then those are the only times I do that. I want them to feel like the bulk of what we capture during an engagement session. Pardon me. This coffee is just.
We're just riding the high of all the caffeine.
Slow down.
You need to take a little bit of a breath. Just a big. You've got it. During an engagement session, Tim's centering himself now.
I want my couple to feel like the bulk of the photos that we capture are feeling natural, candid, them looking their best, and not necessarily let's go into the lab and see what we can tinker with and decide what Bunsen burner to turn on full blast, and then baking soda and vinegar. That's a volcano. I don't want them to feel like it's a total experiment, because the experience itself for a lot of my couples is a bit of an experiment. Like, how are we going to feel?
This whole thing feels like an experiment a little bit.
Let's not push the envelope too much.
There's enough unknowns.
And I fucking love that there's photographers out there who are just like, no, this is what I do, and that's why you hired me. And those
experimental
couples
as hell. Yeah.
I think you and I are very similar, and a lot of people in this market are similar in that we want our couples to have nice photos that they can print, put on the fridge, put on the wall, print out. Yeah. Have like nice memories of how they looked in that moment.
Yeah.
As opposed
and how
to
they
like,
felt. Yeah.
Here's a cool silhouette with like space.
Yes.
Like,
which I love.
That could be my note.
I kind of want to do a space, but
I love that, but I also don't think it's the bulk of what I provide as a service. And
honestly,
likewise.
During my talk at Canada Photo Summit last week, I literally said, and I keep on thinking about this, like, should I have said that? Well, I'm going to, no. Okay. It was about myself.
Oh, okay.
And now I'm going to say it on a podcast, so it'll be permanently out there. But what I said was, my work is nothing special.
Okay.
I do and I don't believe that.
Okay.
I believe that my work is special in that, and it shouldn't be unique, but it is, that my clients always know what to expect.
Yeah.
They see my work is consistent.
Yep.
Obviously, they are the differentiator. My clients are the outlier in this whole thing.
Yeah.
But they know what to expect posing wise and experience wise, because I have told them, I've shown them, there's portfolios, there's documents that explain it. The only thing they haven't done is actually had a shoot with me.
Yeah.
My work is not Jason Vincent. It's not these like really out there things. And part of the reason I said that at Canada Photo Summit is because I think that's more common than it's not.
Yeah.
Is for photographers to feel like, well, I don't do any of these like really incredible, artistic, wild things.
And they're great and they're inspiring, but it's like, that's not the majority of photos.
And I think that photographers can start getting in their heads about like, well, why doesn't my stuff look like that? If you can provide your clients with the experience that they paid for, that's all that needs to happen.
Literally.
Sam's clients paid him for that experience. My clients, your clients, they've all done this for the experience that we told them we were going to give them. And then we hopefully always deliver on that promise, right? And
it's not to say that those photographers don't deliver stuff that...
No, that's what I mean. I think they are delivering on their promise.
But no, I think they also deliver on the candid moments.
Oh, the normies. Of course.
And I was talking to Jason because I did his workshop, and he's like, we did a walk around Waterloo Park, myself and 4 other photographers for his workshop, which is amazing, 12-hour thing. And he said, so between these photos where I'm like doing like off-camera flash and like style them really specifically, we would do like, hold hands, walk.
The walking.
Like, you do those too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's good to know. But much like people's highlight reel, they're not going to sell you that at a talk or at a conference. They're going to show you the cool,
the crazy,
rad, wild shit that they do. Yeah. Because that's what, that sells, baby.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also what sells at photography education conferences and workshops, right? So I do hope that all the photographers that listen to this and follow us and follow some of the other educators in the space, they know like most of our clients are hiring us for normal shit. Yeah. And however you can convey that to your clients is fantastic. Yeah. If you are the more artistic one, or you're a normie like us, slay. Yeah, we got off topic there a little bit, but I think we answered. I think we went down like a really nice little rabbit hole there. And beyond, as we typically do. It felt fantastic. Let's take a bit of a beat. Absolutely. And then we'll carry on to question number 2. Cheers. Cheers. Hey, sorry to interrupt this episode of Shoot Your Shot. It's me, Tim. I'm in Italy right now for a photo conference, and I'll be posting on social media knowing full well that my galleries for my couples are delivered because of Imagen. Imagen is the reason I'm able to enjoy my trip without worrying about my couples, seeing my stories, and being all like, this fucking guy, where are my photos? It learned from my preset and editing style to make editing choices that match the skin tones, color balance, crop, and consistency across the gallery that my couples hired me for. I get a fully edited gallery back within minutes of uploading right from Lightroom catalog. And if you were looking to switch up your editing style, you can also choose from a growing selection of photographer profiles within the app to see how they would edit your images. From there, you can make tweaks, redefine your editing style, all within the Imagen platform. So there's a great deal in the description below. Sign up. I can't wait to see your business grow and you become a better editor through the help of Imagen. And now back to the show. We're back
with more Shoot Your Shot podcast. Thank you so much for being here. If you don't already know, we're on YouTube. We're on all the podcast platforms that you like to subscribe to, and you should do so. You should subscribe to us.
You should, in
like all
fact.
the things, comment, send us a DM on Shoot Your Shot podcast. Where is it? There it is. I
Yep.
can't do the reverse. On Instagram,
It's
send us a
challenging.
DM, a voice note, a video note, whatever you want to do. Questions related to photography, business, wedding photography, portrait photography. Slow down, Tim.
Just take one breath. Oh, God. Now I'm worried. Okay, well, while Tim is learning how to breathe again, we are going to read the next question. I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Hey, Lindsay and Tim, loving the pod so far. Love that. Thank you.
You.
I'm wondering if I'm alone in this, but sometimes I deliver a gallery and then I never hear back from my client. And it always seems to be the shoots I'm most proud of. Flat smile face. How do I explain that? Why do clients do this? Does it happen to you guys, and how do you handle it?
Oh my gosh.
I
too
get why you
often.
want to make that anonymous.
Yeah, I
You should have
understand.
go with your full chest. Honestly, that's we all experience it so
I think once a week, maybe more.
easily.
Yeah.
Easily
Especially
once
in
a week,
peak
depending
wedding
on how
season.
much you're shooting right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like why do you think it happens? Let's start there. Let's start with the unpacking of it.
Okay.
And let's start with the first.
Okay.
Of course,
Of course it
we
happens.
experience this.
This is an everyone thing.
Everyone experiences this. It is a problem from the dawn of professional photography.
Cosmos have been written in the stars.
Some people experience it more than others. Some people experience it less. But I would like to hear from you what you think, Tim. The reason is that this happens.
Whoa,
What
the
is this
psychology?
phenomenon?
If
How
I can-
rude.
If I can get into the psychology of a couple, let's say it's a wedding.
Okay, by all means.
That's pretty typical. Those are where I kind of I carry a lot more weight with those engagement sessions. I'm like, you'll see it eventually.
Yeah, and you
It's
don't do a
fine.
lot of families.
Don't do a lot. Don't do a great number. No, I do like maybe 2 families a year. So
wow.
super low. Couples who just got married, they had a great time. You send them maybe a couple selects the day after or within the week, and they're like, oh my God, thank you. Usually hear back from those. 4 weeks later, after their wedding date, you send them the full gallery of like beautiful images that you're so proud of. You spent so much time editing them and like making selects, retouching them because you can use Imagen to like bulk edit things, and then you can go in and remove stop signs and become really
Yeah.
articulate and
Of course.
particular about the images that you create, and you want them to print them. You're like, oh my God, I am too good at my job. is what you say.
Literally, you send this off. This is your child.
Yeah.
It's been in your possession.
The baby is in the basket
You've been
down the
literally
river.
growing this baby for 4 weeks, and now you're giving it to its parents, being like, "Here you go. I grew your baby for you for
Yeah.
4 weeks. You're
I
welcome."
ripped it out of my body for you.
Jeez,
I'm still
Louise.
bleeding.
Oh,
In a nice way.
so you deliver the gallery.
You deliver, you go
You're
through labor.
feeling on fire. You're
feel
so
amazing.
excited.
And then you hear nothing.
A week goes by. You check the PicTime downloads, and it's been downloaded 10 times. And you're thinking, self.
They have a favorites list. and
What's
you've
gone on
still
here?
heard nothing. And like you're like, do they make a favorites list of things that they don't like?
Is it a list to send
Are
me an
they
email being like,
sending
these ones are all
These
terrible?
images to the lawyer to say, hey, look how much this person fucked
Is
me.
terrible at
and
their
I
job?
can't believe that I have to spend legal fees to get them tarred and feathered. This is outrageous.
This is
And your
so
brain
bad.
starts to concoct these stories because you're a human being and you look for the negative in things, and that's just how we survived as a species.
Yeah.
And the couple all the while is like, oh,
Nice
great
pictures.
images. These are great.
Love that.
Because, and I believe that the couple expects these nice photos from you because they've had the experience of the engagement session, and they're like, I don't need to validate this person. Why would I need to tell
already
the
told them.
photographer that they're doing good work? They know they're doing good work.
I paid
I
them for
hugged
it.
them. I tipped them on the wedding night. Like, they're amazing. Of course these are
They've
going to be
given
great.
you the feedback.
The validation they believe is already delivered. And
Yes.
that's not every couple.
No.
Not every couple does this. A lot of couples will email right away like, this is amazing. And I'm like,
Yes.
yes. And
Sometimes
that's what I want.
and sometimes they will send you an, oh my gosh,
OMG.
I just peed myself when I got this gallery, but my fiance or my husband
Yeah.
is away on a business trip, and I'll get
Right.
back to you or whatever. And then
Sure.
sometimes you just don't hear back from them because
Yeah.
they got busy with life or whatever,
Also,
right?
emails. No one fucking wants to answer emails.
No one wants an email.
So another email, they're like, okay, the least they can do is open it. And I know it's
Yes.
photos of them and their loved ones and their
Yeah.
amazing wedding day, but like, no one wants to reply to an email. Every time
No.
I reply to an email, I get like 2 back.
Yeah. Oh God, it's
Can't
a
be
nightmare.
bothered.
It's
Even
honestly
if it's
a
like
nightmare.
like a happy email. You know what I mean?
Oh, even if it's like the most delightful email, I'll read it and be like, that's so nice. I
Yeah.
can't respond to this right now.
I can't. It's adorable, but no thank you.
I would love to share with you my thoughts on this.
I would love to hear it. I hope that answered some of my thoughts and feelings. It's just people are expecting you to do a good job.
And they know you
don't
did.
feel the need that they need to respond right away necessarily. Even
They
though,
think that you're good at your job.
Yeah.
The only thing that our clients owe us is money. I've said this before. I'll say it again.
Say it one more time.
The only thing that our clients owe us is a paid invoice.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Does my artistic little heart wish that they would say, oh my gosh, we are obsessed with these. This is the best I've ever looked in a photo. You can see the love between us.
Yeah.
My kids look so happy.
Absolutely.
Grandma is obsessed. Of course.
Sure.
Of course I would love that.
Yeah.
That sounds so lovely. And who wouldn't want that?
Who wouldn't want that?
But unfortunately, when we're talking, I think there's a couple of different things here. When you don't hear back from a wedding client, it feels really sad because you have poured over these images. You've been part of their journey for the past potentially 2 years, right? So it feels really like a personal, like they must not like them or they must not like me.
Yeah.
You can learn to take your validation from other areas. From Instagram posts, your clients are putting them all over the internet.
Yep.
They're tagging you. They feel great about
Wouldn't
this.
do that.
That's
They hated
exciting,
them. Wouldn't
right?
do that. Yep.
You can follow up if you want.
Mm.
If you really want to, you can absolutely follow up. And I would say probably if we were running businesses like business owners and not like artists with egos, we probably would follow up. We would probably check in.
Yeah.
Like you get your car detailed. And a really great business sends you an automated, hey, we just want to check in on how your experience was with getting your car detailed. Please let us know.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants feedback. They're either seeking validation or they're seeking improvements, right? But photographers are famous for not asking for feedback. Famous for it. So I actually do ask for feedback when I don't hear from people.
Yeah. Okay.
When I don't hear from people and I haven't seen anything getting posted
or downloaded.
So that's a separate one.
Okay. We'll come back to that.
PicTime is phenomenal in that you can actually see who is downloading and when, right? I think we've talked about that before.
Yep.
That information is, I think, invaluable.
True.
Because it allows you to see, did my main clients actually get this, first of all? Mm-hmm. Did they open it and understand how to go about downloading it?
Right.
If there's no downloads, I might reach out to say, hey, I want to make sure you're not screenshotting these, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure you know how to do this. Some of my clients only have iPads.
Okay.
Right? So there's some weird things that like you could just never find that out until you have reached out to say, I want to make sure you're loving your photos. Is there anything that I can do to help you download these? Like, I do want to remind you, like, your gallery is only available for X number of whatever, right? Like, sort of just remind them of that. And then that's a good opportunity to maybe ping them about a wedding album, a photo book, right?
Prints are forever.
Prints are really a lovely thing.
Is in the cloud that doesn't exist. So
if I see that they have downloaded some of them, they haven't shared it with people, I'm going to check in. I'm going to be like, hi. And it does sometimes feel annoying. And I've so far never had somebody come back and be like, oh yeah, we didn't respond because we hated the photos. They usually come back, and this is why I do it very sparingly. They usually come back with, we're so embarrassed that we didn't get back to you and tell you we loved them. It's just been a really busy couple of weeks. Like we were on our honeymoon. We came back to so much work. Our dog was sick. I'm pregnant, whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of different things that just life
family
went
was
on.
from out of town. We had to
and
tend
I
to
don't want to
them.
make my clients feel embarrassed or sad that they
no.
didn't like, send me a handwritten note to thank me for their photos.
Bingo.
So I will only do it if I think there's a very valid, if something maybe went wrong and I think there's a very valid reason why maybe they weren't loving things. If there's something I think that I could do, I'll check in. But sometimes you just have to let go and let God. It's incredible how many people I have assumed over the years that they hate their photos. Like I just make this, like you said, the stories in your mind. Mm-hmm. They didn't download them quickly or they never shared them that I could see, whatever the stories are. And then they call me and we do maternity photos, newborn photos, and family photos for 7 years. And I'm
you
like,
go to their house, you're like, they
printed
these.
them all
Amazing.
over the place, right? Yeah. They just never got around to saying thank you for them.
Yeah.
I've had people send me messages being like, hey, I can't believe I haven't reached out to you since the wedding. We wanted to let you know we were obsessed with the photos.
Yeah.
We're actually expecting now. Can we do maternity photos? And that's the first time I hear from them. And I'm like, wow,
It's been 2.5 years.
I thought you hated me. I just assumed that you did. And that's on me. And I could have checked in and I could have asked you, are we good here?
So maybe we need to do better as photographers.
Business owners.
You and I.
Yes.
And everyone out there listening. Maybe wait a week. A week's a decent grace period. If you don't hear back, if they're not downloading things, if you're suspicious for any reason, reach out. And even if they're
just
not,
check in.
just check in. Just say, hey, we'd love to know what your experience was like with this gallery. Do you need help sharing with friends and family? Do you want like access? Like all my couples get like the option to make things private if they reach out beforehand. I'm like, I can make this a client only gallery. You can like have a password associated in case there's things that sensitive things. You know, family's a bit weird sometimes.
Yeah.
Happy to make them a very customizable gallery so they can only share with some people. So maybe they need help with that.
Sometimes, sometimes people love all of their photos and they just don't share it because there's like 2 pictures in there that they think are unflattering.
Yeah, we can make it private, baby.
Something that's like a little bit racy.
Yes.
And they want the ability to hide those pictures, but they don't know how. Like I always turn on the hide function on PicTime so my clients can just like very easily hide them.
Yeah.
That's usually how I get my feedback on which photos people don't like of themselves. And that's great. If I deliver 2,000 photos, I do not expect you to like all 2,000. It's just not going to hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
If 100, 200 of those photos you private, people are weird about angles of their body, about their faces, about maybe a family member who like got invited that they're in a weird thing with. They don't want to share this whole gallery. So sometimes that's the reason why they're not sharing. Sometimes shit's just going on in their lives. And I think, you know, I totally get Anonymous's concern here that, you know, it always seems to be the ones that you're the most proud of that people are not giving you the kudos for that you're hoping for. And I would assume it's probably because they think that you know you did a good job.
Yeah.
They're like, why would I have to tell them? Like, obviously, they're a professional.
As hard as it is to do, you have to fight your nature and know that you're good at your job and understand that, like, hey, they just assume that you knew already.
When was I also ask the people that I mentor this all the time.
Okay.
When was the last time that you sent a handwritten note to a vendor that you used for some service?
Yeah. Never. Probably never.
Like... Right? Like, when was the last time you sent a feedback email after a service was done? They left your house, like somebody came to fix something.
I just got a haircut. I didn't send a note. I bought her a coffee.
Like haircuts, I'll be like, oh, looks great. Thanks so much. We do this all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you're good at your job. Every once in a while, I'll be like, I should really give Amber some feedback and tell her, like, you did an amazing job.
Yeah.
I hope that the times that I don't do that, she doesn't assume that I hated it. But honestly, she's an artist too. She probably does. She probably thinks, oh shit, she didn't like it. I mean, Amber's been at it for a long time. But put yourself in your client's shoes.
Yeah.
They are just moving on from one thing to the next. They've already moved on from their wedding, or their shoot or whatever, right?
And that's the thing. It's so far from their mind. They're getting these things back, and it feels like memories. And like, oh, that's amazing. Like they want to live in it again. They don't want to just think about, oh, thank you cards.
Who do I? Yeah, that feels like a task, right?
It does. Feels like a job.
So I would just say, put yourself in your client's shoes, live, laugh, love, and and you know, get just 5 more ounces of confidence in your work because you know you killed it.
You nailed it.
They paid you. They haven't told you otherwise. Assume the best.
If you haven't been served, you're probably doing a good thing.
Yeah, when you get served, you'll know you screwed up.
Yeah. Do you, how do you, so this is a bit more like inside baseball, but
I love inside baseball.
You and I will sit across each other from at the desk that we share at the Studio on King in Waterloo. And we'll
Tim's like, you're a hypocrite. You swear at your clients at your computer all the time. Like, Lindsay's like,
bullshit, Lindsay.
You should get more confident. I'm over here, and Tim's like, I sit across from you at your desk, and you're freaking out. Is that what you're going to say?
We have each other as a support system, professionally, to be like, hey, if there's like a gallery that I'm like, I'm not super confident this couple like this, I will send it to you. You will send it to me.
Yes.
And we'll go back and forth. Like, no, these are dope. These are amazing. Like have a hype
really
person who is either a family member, although, you know, can you trust family members?
They're liars.
But someone who's like in your circle who like is professional, who understands what a good image is. Maybe it's another photographer. Maybe it's someone, you know, that you meet for coffee once a week. Like, hey, what do you think of this gallery? And they'll be like, oh my God, it's amazing. And if they like it, it's likely that your couple likes it too, and it was not a big of a mountain that you're making
Yeah.
it to be.
Yeah,
So,
100%. Like sometimes you just need somebody.
bring it to therapy even. Bring
Yeah,
your
sometimes
laptop to therapy and say,
absolutely.
hey,
Pay them $200 an hour for them to tell you that your work is good,
can I
sweetie.
get a gallery critique for this next
You don't mind,
30,
right?
last
This
30
client
minutes?
didn't give me the feedback
I'll tell
I needed.
you when our time is almost up.
Yeah, it does really help to send it over to somebody and just say, hey, like, I didn't hear back from this client. Do you think I have a reason to be worried?
Yeah.
I've told people when I think that they actually do have a reason to be worried. Like,
Yeah.
I'll tell somebody if I'm like, not necessarily like, oh, yeah, you screwed up. But if I'm like, this doesn't look like your work, I would be concerned. Maybe your editing style was a little bit off if they weren't using Imagen and their
Yeah.
work is not consistent, right?
Yikes.
Like, that's a fair question.
Scary stuff.
Or maybe you feel like you didn't deliver enough images.
Right.
If there are things that are fixable here, go ahead and fix them. You know, ask a friend that's going to tell it to you straight.
Yep.
And sometimes it's nice to just have some validation from a friend.
Yeah.
Or, you know, do yourself a favor and send the fucking email and ask your clients if they like their photos.
So your homework, everyone,
up,
today
you know?
is to template.
That's as much to
grow
me.
up, first of
that's
all.
as
Grow
much
up.
to me as anybody else. Grow the fuck up and
So-
send the email.
You're going to go home, drink some water, you're going to grow the fuck up, and then you're going to draft an email today that's going to be kind of a blanket statement with a link to your Google review, because it's always nice to have professional
yeah,
feedback in a way
true.
that's outward facing. And you say, hey, XYZ couple, loved everything about your day.
Mm-hmm.
So happy with the time we spent together. I see that you've accessed the gallery. Hope everything's up to your liking.
Yeah.
Paraphrase, please don't use this because this is off the top of my dome and I'm not great.
And
at
he's an
improvising
idiot,
things.
so.
I'm a fucking idiot. So something along those lines of like, hey, we'd love to know, is there any feedback? You need any help with the gallery? You need help, you know, in any technical way to make sure that you're like in love with this gallery and
Experience
these
is
photos.
fantastic.
And
Yeah.
then ask them, go for the ask. Ask like, how was the experience with me? Did you enjoy it? If so, do you want to leave like a little note here on the Goog?
Yeah.
Send me a little 5 stars. and
Yeah,
then
I
tell
would
me
just
what's
even
good?
say, like, I loved working with you so much. If you feel the same, here's my Google.
Yes.
Feel free to go ahead and leave me a
Yes.
little note. If there's anything that you'd like to share with me that you think I could improve on, I would love to hear it here by email. So
Bingo.
they know that the Google is not the spot where you'd like to hear that
True.
feedback.
Yes.
You know, like, that's a really easy way to say, if things were swell, you go here.
Yes.
If
Make a
things
fork.
need improvement,
That's
feel
very
free
important.
to not put that in Google, and feel free to send me a little email, especially if you feel like it's something that I can help you with to make you love your photos even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Keep it brief. I would keep it under the assumption that they're obsessed with their photos, but
Yes.
giving them the option just in case they're not,
And
or
focus-
experience-wise or whatever.
Important thing you mentioned was to focus on the idea that you want them to love everything about their
Yeah.
gallery. So that's the goal. The goal isn't to like get a 5-star review. The goal is to make sure that they're over the moon, happy with the images that you created together, and that they're like going forward feeling really good about the experience and the product that you had. Not
But
necessarily get
also-
the review, but also 5-star
reviews.
but also 5-star reviews
Yeah.
are there, and you should give them.
You should probably get those.
Except nothing less. Lindsay, we've done it again.
Speaking of 5-star reviews,
Oh,
Tim,
yes.
we have a really great idea for you.
Hello.
Right now, while you're listening to us, you're driving your little car, you're thinking of pulling over right now. You're going to pop into a grocery store parking lot and you're going to pull out your little phone.
First, they're going to go to the Starbucks in that grocery store and grab a little latte for themselves because you deserve a treat.
You deserve a little treat. You deserve the treat after you've done this little task.
You know what you do? You order it mobilely if you're able to.
On your phone, like
on
a
your
genius,
telephone.
of course.
And then you're waiting for that like 6.5 minutes for that.
You're going to go to
refresher.
YouTube,
Yes.
Spotify,
Yes.
Apple Podcasts, wherever you're currently hearing my lovely voice right now. And you are going to go to that app and you are going to find the Shoot Your Shot podcast. You're going to see dumb little pictures of Tim and I. And you are going to leave us the cutest review you've ever left, the nicest review you've ever left anyone. You're going to tell us we're beautiful.
Yep.
You're going to tell us that our voices sound nice.
So nice.
You're going to compliment my dill mug, whatever it takes, okay, for you to leave us a review. That's really nice. If it's anything less than 5 stars, go away.
We know who you are.
Your name probably won't be associated. You could lie. But if it's anything less than 5 stars, honestly, let us know.
Yeah, let us know if there's feedback you want to see.
We'll hear your feedback. We probably won't take it into account, but it would be nice to hear it anyways.
I love hearing how you're wrong.
We would love to tell you that this is a flawless podcast
It's
and there's
perfect.
literally nothing better we could do.
But if there's anything you'd want to see us include on top of the perfectness that is this show, let us know. Send us a DM with your questions, comments, thoughts, hot takes on photography. Lindsay and Tim, out?
Out.